today is 28th June 2021 and I have completed my Masters from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. And although the whole second year was in an online mode because of the pandemic, and it did not feel like I completed my Masters because everything was done at home. I the last time all of us we were on campus was in March 2019. उसके बाद हम लोग कुछ लोग गए होंगे campus, but it was not the same. Everything changed after March 2019, or we could not say bye to each other. We could not have a proper closure. ठीक है. So I'm grateful to everyone who sent their videos. It was not easy to manage, and I understand that. Although we have completed our MA, it doesn't mean that all of us have all the time in the world. We are occupied with something or the other. So yeah, I'm grateful to everyone who could send their videos, and all those who said that they will not be able to. And I completely understand who could not even respond at this point. There are different things going on in everyone's lives, and I completely understand that. I just wanted to make this video. I had this idea in my mind since I think a month now, and it is finally today when I decided to sit down and work on it. I can't believe that it's been more than a year since I started my MA. It was 9th June 2021, if I'm not wrong, 9th, 10th, 11th, when we had our orientation. I'm glad that we could have the first year on campus. I'm grateful to the first year that I had at TISS. There were a lot of people who I couldn't include in this video because of different limitations and reasons. I remember Saritais who worked in the SMS canteen, and the amazing food that they made and the amazing options they gave when one got tired of DH ka food. All the kakas and dadas who worked in the DH when we were there, and dadas who did their duties at the gate. And there was this one man who used to greet me good morning, and I used to greet him too. Like there were little moments like these which became so precious to me, especially after we found ourselves in this situation where we couldn't move out of our homes. There are a lot of moments that I wanted to talk about, but I cannot include them. I cannot. One reason is I don't remember all of them. Second is I cannot put everything in this video. It will become a 3-hour film, and I don't have the storage and time for it right now. I cannot not mention all the animals whom I met at TISS. They played a huge role in my life when I was struggling, when I felt lonely, when I was looking for something to make me happy. And all the people who I just saw doing something or the other. I never got a chance to talk to them, but I admired them from a distance. So I'm thinking about those people. I'm thinking about the lovely professors that I don't know, interacted whom I saw doing amazing things at TISS. Of course, I could not reach out to everyone and ask for their videos, but I think about them, and I'm grateful to them for teaching me things that I never thought about. I'll really cherish this part of my life. I'm also grateful to this girl, this woman who endured and whose resilience led her to complete her MA despite all the challenges, all the difficulties that she faced. let us begin now. It's more than 5 minutes since I'm talking. Let's just start this video now. I mean, the video has already started. Hello, my part is also equally important. So let us get to what this video is all about. So yeah, let's meet all the people. Not all. Let's meet some of the people that I either befriended or interacted with or just met for once at TISS. Ahana was my first friend and roommate in Mumbai. Priyadarshini. Found her on Facebook before meeting her at TISS. Our timings of going to the DH always matched. I met Haindavi during the orientation, and then there were highs and hellos whenever we met. I met Navjot because of Haindavi, and then we ended up becoming amazing fieldwork partners who loved hanging out. I met Ria because of Navjot, who told me about Sister Library, and I'll never forget it. Trupti offered me water when I was coughing a lot in the common class. I remember hanging out with Hiba for the first time on a terrace with a couple of more people. I met Shivangi because of organizational visits. She's someone who doesn't associate herself with any places, if I'm not wrong. Again, I met Purva because of organizational visits. I also remember buying cupcakes or something sweet from her stall during Samiksha. Harshila. I met Harshila. I actually got close to Harshila because of our group lab activities, and then we started hanging out more. One compliment led to more conversations. I remember hanging out in Maitri's hostel room. First WCP class, me and Shruti talked about how much we love Sherlock and then how much we love cats. We were never friends, but Anandita and I started talking because of Lola. I remember having lunch with Imon on the same table in the DH, and it was like not intentional. Madhurima and I did not take much time to bond. Medha and I took a long time to bond. I remember her making my birthday special. Animal Care Club, Cats and Larry brought me and Diksha together. Kumair once told me that I had a Doraemon pocket when I was feeding the cats. I met Priyanka during my fieldwork, so she was working in the organization where I was doing my fieldwork, and she passed out in 2018. This is Ashanya with Ranbo. Another person whom I met because of my fieldwork, because of Tarasha. I remember going to different places with her, going to different colleges and learning from her. Professor Ketki made all the fieldwork related discussions so conducive. Mridula and a suitable bag. I remember complimenting her for that. WCP brought me and Aisha together. Sumedha, my namesake at TISS, I remember her singing and playing uke during the freshers in amphitheater. I never thought that I'll be able to create a beautiful relationship with someone like Vidya because of cats. From being flatmates to hardcore ACC members, Dina and I have come along. I remember the first day when Vishwas joined us for feeding the animals. I still remember the night when Madhuri came to my place with two of our friends to hang out, and how children's literature brought us closer. Nushri and I met because of our common classes. एक बैंड्रा तक के locals के सफ़र ने ईशा और मुझे दोस्त बना दिया. All it took for me and Tavleen to start talking was a group assignment, a watermelon juice, and going to Big Bazaar to buy some essentials. I remember my first conversation with Srishti outside Baba Hall, if I'm not wrong, and also going with her to eat dahi jalebi. I also remember her singing Mera Kuch Saman at my place. I got to know about Vatya because of Srishti, and I remember wishing her a happy birthday when she did not even know me. I got to know Adarsh because of ACC and our animals. I remember my conversation with Tanshul during our WCP freshers, and I also remember discovering her art account this year. इंटर्नशिप का फर्स्ट डे एकांत पार्क के बाहर से लेकर कुमकुम को कैब में बिठाने तक का सफ़र हमेशा याद रहेगा. I vividly remember the video that Simrat had made for her campaign back in 2019. It was so creative. For me, she was the one who deserved to win, and that is why I voted for her. I remember sharing an auto ride with Nikita when I was coming back from Govandi station with a classmate after booking our tickets for rural practicum. I met Tushar because of our common classes in D1. Akansha and I started talking because of our shared love for Kit Kat. I also remember doing an activity with her when there was a workshop. I remember speaking to Isakia because of Lalita in the DH for the first time. I remember talking to Indrani for the first time during my WCP freshers and sharing a ride with her and partying with her. My conversation with Paki started over Instagram and was only limited to social media. I remember eating with Maitreyi and some more people after the Occupy Gateway protest. It was Shreya who introduced my class to CGPC. I never spoke to Aishwarya, but I remember admiring her from afar. Malvika and I started talking because of dogs. I think it was Alice or Zoya. Organizational visits. Reva had so much knowledge about the locals that I thought she was from Mumbai. Shivani was one of those people who I admired from afar and never had a lot of conversations with. I do remember the night we partied together, and thank God for that night. I remember the day when Harshala made me meet Chahat. Pulak and I talked for the first time only in 2021. I remember hearing him sing Mamuli Chor for the first time during Mehfil. Sharon and I started talking on the first day itself. The trouble that she had with biometric was uncanny. I remember Ria for how talkative she used to be in the classes and going to Govandi station to cancel our rural practicum tickets. I remember meeting Ria when we used to go to the DH to have our breakfast when the orientation was going on, and it was the organizational visits and group labs that brought us together. One day Akhil randomly came to me outside the canteen and told me that he has seen my videos. I was like, what? I remember interacting with Subarna during those sessions where we were working on our communication skills. That's Ronit and Mowgli. I spoke to him only in 2021 because of a puppy. Vatsala and I lived in the same building. Anushka was my flatmate and she always loved playing with Lola. Shilpa and the stories that she shared in our WCP classes and her birthday celebration in the quadrangle. I think Shalini and I started talking in the canteen. I remember the first auto ride that I shared with Deepak and the amazing food that he made for all of us. I remember the day I sat with Onesha and spoke to her when we had assembled near the quadrangle for a meeting. My conversations with Komal started because of the ACC bills. I started talking to Sangeeta because of our common classes, and then we just ended up becoming friends. I got to know about Khushi only after the pandemic began, and she's been a great support to ACC. Rashmi is one of the few people I know from the 2022 batch, and it all started on WhatsApp. Group labs and hearing Anisha sing during Mehfil. Conversation that me and Akriti had in the library about Bhopal and Indore and its people. Thanks to Maitreyi for making us meet. when me, Jnaneshwari, and Navjot got into trouble for traveling in the first class at Dadar station. One thing that made me and Nikita connect was sports. I remember the day when me and Sneha sat on the same table while having breakfast, but we only started talking in 2020 because of Insta. I remember the day when me and Sanjam and several other people were looking for a remote in the DH when the World Cup was on. The night when Arushi and Anushka celebrated their friend's birthday at our place, and the evening where we all sat down in Anushka's room to just talk, and that is when I think we really connected and became such great friends. I only spoke to Ipshita because of Navjot in college, and we had the same CBCS course in third semester. Smriti and I started talking once in the DH because we shared the same table. We never really talked after that, but we are in each other's contact list. I started speaking to Neeraj because of our organizational visits and group labs. Tanu and I started talking in our common classes but very late. I remember how crazy her birthday party was back in 2020, and I'm glad that it happened before the pandemic. I cannot recall the day when I started talking to Alicia or met her for the first time, but we have been in touch on WhatsApp and it's great. I remember buying stickers from Anusha during Samiksha and meeting her outside Nandanwan. Shabna and I never really spoke in our common classes, but we bonded over badminton. I remember playing TT with Aksa and taking her pictures with Cleo. Kajal and I, along with several other people, had chai at Tapri and went to the park near campus. I remember the day when Tanushri and I met, when we had to take Coco to the vet. Maya would always give his paw when I stopped petting him. When Shivangi and I, along with one more person, had to manage that last minute presentation in RM class, I started bonding with Priyanka when our exams were going on and taking pictures with her after we were done with exam. Tulika and I once met in the lift when we were both going to our respective places. I remember that day when I went with Monica to have lunch in the DH when we had just started college. I remember listening to Tiara sing in the new conference hall and getting mesmerized. Padmini was one of those people I wanted to befriend the first time I saw them, and it actually happened. I remember sitting next to Maria in our gender space and culture class. Roopshika and I had the same organizational visits. I was so happy when I got to know from Archana that she lives in Bhopal. I think Nancy and I bonded over sports, and we were in the same class for a CPCS course. Yashodhara and I were in the same class and had group assignments together. Used to see Spurti near the quadrangle with cats. I started speaking to her because of ACC. Priyanjali was someone whom I admired but only started talking in 2021. I have never met Kavya, but it was ACC and our animals that made us start talking. Shraddha and I were in the same classes. We used to go to D1. Nikhil and I started talking when both of us were sitting in the library one night. Abhirami and I used to talk during our FC class breaks. I looked up to Surbhi when I saw her creative presentations in the classes. I remember talking to Divya for the first time because of Shruti outside the library. Thira and I started speaking because of a meeting that was organized in the quadrangle, and then we went back to the DH to have dinner together and watching Dead Poet Society together. Yamini and I never really spoke to each other on campus, but we had small interactions and hi and hello once in a while. I remember sitting with Tanvi once outside the PhD hostel and she held Ginger while I held Cookie. I still remember seeing Kunj feeding Leah before the pandemic. Once I had pranked Shefali in our common class. Lakshmi and I did not have many interactions, but we had the group labs together. Aparna and I never talked to each other on campus. It was Instagram that brought us together and made us engage with each other. Amar and I did not know each other, but he happily went with me to the vet when Scrappy was not well. I used to see Pranjali hanging out in the canteen, but I never got a chance to speak to her on campus. Priya and I did our first WCP group assignment together. Professor Deepa took the Animal Ethics and Social Justice course, and she is one of the most gentle people I have met in my life. Aditi ko Shreya ki through mili, and I used to keep telling Shreya how much I loved their bonding and how much I admired these women. Gulam is also among those people with whom I started talking on social media after the pandemic. I do remember having a conversation with him and Srishti outside the volleyball court. I remember seeing Himalini in the DH having breakfast and reading the Hindu every day. Neha and I were in the same common classes. I remember going with her to the new campus SMS canteen and having food. Bhavya and I started talking because of our gender space culture class, and we were also neighbors. Sadhana and her fearlessness when it came to asking questions or sharing something in WCP classes and doing the fieldwork together after the pandemic. I will always cherish the amount of compassion Aiden has shown for our campus animals. Yashwant and I spoke to each other during our common classes, and we also had chai once at Tapri, and I remember how shocked he was when he came to know that I was not so seedy. I used to meet Poser near the new campus canteen. Vinay used to play songs before our common classes started, and I will always cherish the music video idea that he had in mind for me. Hachi and I interacted only after CGPC happened. I still remember the character that Monali played during those presentations that we had in New Library Conference Hall. And I had also approached her once near the Saksham building. Seren was one of the few people I saw when I had come to TISS for the first time. I will remember Ashish Bhaiya for the compassion that he has for Coco and watching him skip for almost half an hour without stopping. Jina and I had way more conversations in the second year in comparison to the first year on campus. I had no idea that the person who sang during the third day of our orientation was going to be my classmate. Will always remember the New Year's that I spent with Neeti and two of our friends. I started talking to Shyari only after the pandemic. Aishwarya and I had the same organizational visits, and that is when we met and started talking. We have been in each other's contact list since then. Last but not the least, I got to know Nirmala ji because of ACC, and we had more conversations over time because we both immensely loved Monty or Scrappy. Tapri, Red Velvet Shop, Nagori Chai, Tulsi Medical, and the Three Dogs. Jasila and our love for Pepsi. There are so many memories that I made with Jasila. Totoro! Our sweet Coco, who was always misunderstood by people. This little pupper who was found near the back gate and is now resting in peace. And my dear boy Scrappy. I never met Ipshita like some other people I mentioned. I started talking to her because of Insta. As you can see, it's been more than 24 minutes and I'm still not done talking. Before going, I would like to show you the names of some more people whom I met or had a chance to know at TISS.